As an outsider to Israeli culture, in September 2009 through June of 2010, I embarked on a new journey living as a resident in Israel. Unlike many students who aim to become a part of one community for each Shabbat that they spend in Jerusalem, I decided that my year would be one of my few opportunities to explore what synagogue life in Jerusalem was all about. As the year progressed, I attended 36 different shuls throughout Jerusalem. I also went to another dozen shuls around the world as a staff member for Kivunim, New Directions. In Israel, I went to places such as the Italian synagogue, the Bukharian synagogue, the Spanish-Portuguese synagogue, the Algerian synagogue, even a renewal synagogue, and most remarkably, the Syrian Aleppo synagogue for Bakashot at 3 o'clock in the morning. A great preparation for fatherhood, I may add. After attending this vast array of synagogues, I realized how easy it is to either feel like an insider or an outsider within our very own Jewish community. People ask me which one of the synagogues was my favorite, but how could I possibly judge since each one was so very different? Yet, my most important criteria for judgment as a technical outsider in each community was how did this particular community treat me and treat my friends that came with me, and how was I accepted or not accepted in that community? This is the greatest of our challenges today. The daily issue of ensuring that we find ways to welcome each other into our various communities. We, my friends and I, received varying receptions from the communities we chose to visit. Oftentimes, particularly in most of the communities I specifically identified, and especially in the Sephardic synagogue in Yamin Moshe, we were not only welcomed with open arms, we were given aliyot, we were given a lot of attention from the congregants, and we were even invited over for Shabbat meals by either the rabbi or a congregant after services. Receptions like these made us feel as though we were a part of the community. Nevertheless, there were still a few communities in which not one person came up to greet us, and we felt unwelcome and akin to complete outsiders in those communities. We were even shunned from one shul due to our late arrival, despite the fact that they did not post their start time on the internet. Of course, the good, the bad, and the ugly were all part of the overall experience. I am quite certain that if I were to ask the average member of the American Jewish community today, who has attended services at a variety of synagogues, about his or her experiences, I may not find quite the same uniqueness that I found in Jerusalem, but I could find the same general feeling about being welcomed or not welcomed, causing people to either feel as though they are on the inside versus being on the outside. Not every member of our synagogues can be considered as an ambassador to our shuls, but wouldn't our synagogue life be so much different and so much better if we could train our members to be more welcoming? We live in a society full of fear of the unknown, and therefore we often shy away from taking the time to get to know new people that we may not know. We ask, how could these people possibly improve ourselves or our lives? And what if we were to never see them again? In his book, The Spirituality of Welcoming, my mentor Ron Wilson said, transformation is about changing people's lives. It's about transforming the spiritual lives of individuals one at a time. It is about forming a Jewish identity through the experience of living in a sacred community. Are we being welcoming enough in our conservative synagogues today? Of course, it makes an immense difference when someone cares and welcomes you into the synagogue. If they invite you over for dinner, if they include you in their social chavarah, or even if they just ask you how life is going. How are we welcoming in the Yitros of today, the outsiders? We need more Keru, outreach to Jews, non-Jews, and even to our own members, both those more and less active. Why is it that our movement is shrinking when J.J. Goldberg in the December 29th Forward article says that the Jewish community in general is actually growing in the United States. One reason may be that we are not welcoming enough across the board, but especially to those who are on the outside. We should not judge people, but instead, we need to look at what is happening in our world today. We have to be much more active in opening our doors instead of closing them. Yitro's role is to assist the Israelites and specifically to facilitate Moses' transition as a long-term national leader, thereby realizing Moses' full potential for the better of the community. Yitro and Moses both could have stayed within themselves, but instead each one chose to open up and welcome each other, which in turn improved both of their lives in a significant way. Midrash Tanchuma, Exodus 73, says that Yitro gave advice, but he also learned a great deal from Moses that he brought back to his own community. Don't we all wish that we could have learning experiences so sacred? There needs to be an urgency to rediscover Yitro. We need to help those people who are on the outside today looking in. Whether these people are searching altogether, searching for a spiritual identity, or those whom we might have previously shut out. Imagine, Yitro shows up in your shul today. What do we do? What do we say to him? Be like Moses. Be like Yitro. Be inclusive. Think about it. Yitro could have just gone along for the ride. It is like a sign I once saw in a locker room. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Vayomer Elohim na'aseh adam b'tzalmo kidmutenu. Then God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. We are all made b'tzelem Elohim, in the image of God, and we need to try to include everyone in all of our inner circles of our lives. Kadish D'Rabbanan. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabah. Mi'almad yibrak v'yurtei v'yamlik machutei. V'chayechonu v'yomechonu chayei d'kol beit Yisrael.